Lisa and I want to welcome every one of you to Kamp Kohut in this occasion. Kamp Kohut has been on this location since 1917, and I can say without hesitation, this is the happiest moment in the history of this camp.
On their first date, one of the things that Julie and Greg immediately bonded over was their love of camp. Camp is literally family for both of them. When Julie and Greg got engaged, they immediately knew that Kamp Kohut was where the wedding would take place. And looking around, it is not hard to see why. Going back to camp with everyone here has been truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I remember when Greg brought Julie over to our parents' house for a family dinner for the first time. And when I met Julie, she seemed so grounded, so intelligent, and sweet. Someone else used this word earlier, so fierce, and also so gentle, and also very fashionable, like a real person, like a firstborn child, is what it is. And I thought to myself, Greg, please don't blow this, no fupas, please. But Greg seemed so happy and content already, and I could tell he felt this was something different, something special. And indeed, that's how it turned out to be. So, Julie, welcome to our little Red Vines family.
Is too kind and too cool to compete with. This girl can outperform, out-socialize, outdress, out-sing and dance anyone. And her heart is bigger than most. Julie has the insight to see you exactly as you are and the kindness to always make you feel like it's enough. I'm so thankful for her friendship and influence.
You hit equilibrium, not the It's like an alcoholic.
When it comes down to it, Greg, the memory that clicked in my head about you is our AP Music Theory class in high school. But it had nothing to do with music. The class was made up of an eclectic group who would make jokes or act out all the time, and Greg would get particularly tickled in class. But he'd always have to hold in his laughter, so I'd be sitting next to him, and I hope I do a good enough impression, and I'd sit next to him, and him holding in his laughter basically sounded like this. And I haven't heard that laugh in a while. And I realized that's great for a lot of reasons. But this particular laugh came from you holding in your joy and giggles. But as we've all experienced with Greg, he doesn't need to do that anymore. Greg, you don't tamp down your joy. And it's clear by all the wonderful friends and family here, you're more than willing to share it with all of us. With a friendly ear, with a funny joke, with a bit you're doing with someone that may or may not recognize you're doing it. You like to host, you play games, entertain, you bring people together. It's a magnetic quality that draws people in, and a playful quality you've also found in Julie, and it's the reason we're all here today.
To whom it may concern. I, Greg Levine, get to marry Julie Rapaport. How do I begin to tell you how much I love you when the rest of time isn't long enough? Early on in the planning stages of our wedding, in the early days of this centerpiece, or that centerpiece, this fork, or that fork, this linen, or that linen, I realized that it all didn't matter. If it rained, it didn't matter, though this view is spectacular. Who RSVP didn't matter, except all of you. We all wanted you here. None of this matters as long as I marry you, as long as I'm with you.
Julie and Greg, you were made for one another. You are proof that true love exists. Leading up to the wedding, I took some time to sit down with Julie and Greg individually. I asked them to tell me about their love for one another. At first, Greg told me that it was a feeling beyond words, but I said, come on, Gregory, you're a writer. Get it together. This is your wedding. So he obliged and proceeded to rattle off a list of 9 or 10 things that he loved about Julie. A couple days later, I sat down with Julie. I asked her what her favorite things about Greg were, and she had no trouble making words into sentences. But here's where things get crazy. No joke, no hyperbole. Julie proceeded to give an identical list, literally down to the order. Now this was great for me because I thought I'd have to do a whole Greg said this, Julie said that thing, but because the lists are the same, I can save us some time here and just read through it once. So without further ado, Julie and Greg's favorite things about Greg and Julie. They are both thoughtful, kind, caring, and compassionate. They're hilariously funny, amazingly smart, and share similar values. They both prioritize family and friends. They're loyal, trustworthy, and incredibly hard workers, putting 100% into everything they do. Greg and Julie think that Julie and Greg are genuinely really good people. Perfect people. Perfect 10s. Is anyone really shocked by their answers being the same? We're all here because we know how special what Julie and Greg have is. We've all seen it since day one. You know, even before that first date, when they've only seen each other on the screens of their phones, for some reason, Julie and Greg knew that something already felt different. After a handful of dates, they both knew for certain that they had found their person. After 2 months, they were both thinking to themselves, I'm going to marry this person. After about 6 months, they decided to move in together, and at no point did any of this feel too fast. To Greg and Julie, it just felt right. To their friends and family, it just felt right.
Greg, if I could go back and tell the 15-year-old Julie who ran around this camp and aspired to find love like I saw in 16 Candles and Say Anything, that I was actually going to find a love a million times better than any movie, I might not have believed it. Or if I could go back and tell the 30-year-old Julie when I walked into that coffee shop and you were waiting with pre-bought cookies that my soulmate was waiting for me, I also might not have believed it. And now, here we are, and I still have to pinch myself to believe that you, Gregory Andrew Levine, wonderful, smart, funny, passionate, caring, and thoughtful, are my person. And that all the mixtapes of love songs I made in middle school or the Hollywood romances I envied would actually pale in comparison to the life I get to live with you.
I once heard some wisdom about the various types of people you meet in your life. I was told that 85% are the one-timers, the people who play a very specific role in your life and then leave it forever. 10% are the sometimes people. They're here for a while, they're significant, but they come and go. And 5% are the forever people. They'll be with you forever. So how lucky am I that I get to look out over all of these people here, our 5%, our forever people, and marry you, my one and only.
only word I could use to describe Julie and Greg together. It's just that they're the best. They have something together that I have always dreamed of. They're truly perfect. They really are. Compliments, best friends, ultimate dream team. I love you both, and I'm so happy to see you together and here in my favorite place.
Then, having made these vows to each other, you have declared yourselves to be espoused. That simple declaration should have been sufficient, but now, by the authority vested in me by the state of Maine, you want to hear something awesome? I am honored to pronounce you husband and wife. Now, before you kiss and celebrate, there is one last tradition to take part in. Hollywood stories are known for their big, flashy endings, but I think Jewish weddings really pioneered this idea of going out with a bang. So let's grab this. You ready, Greg?
Okay.